Hi, I'm Marna, and this is the Twin Flame Detox. In this video, we're going to be talking about diet. I know diet doesn't sound like something that'd be involved in the Twin Flame journey, does it? But everything we put into our bodies affects our vibration. And as we move into being a higher vibrational being, what we put into our bodies matters more and more. For instance, this one is my big one. This is a mug of green tea. I drink this stuff all day long, every day. There have been health benefits from it. I've lost about 100 pounds since I started drinking green tea regularly. But at the same time, green tea is a very high vibrational drink. So, what exactly is a high vibe drink? I mean, it sounds like a buzz phrase. It really does. It sounds like something that you use to sell diet plans. So, a high vibrational food or drink or any form of nourishment that you bring into your body is one that has a high vibrational resonance as measured with the Taino vibrational machine. We discussed that information back in part 1 if you want to go back and look at that video. So high vibrational foods are foods that have a high vibrational resonance. High vibrational foods tend to be foods that have had very little processing from being in their natural state to being in the state in which they are consumed. Now, this can be processing in the forms of whole grain is better than milled flour for getting a nutritional and vibrational boost. We all know that as foods are processed, they lose nutrient qualities, and they also lose their vibrational qualities as well. The more a food is handled, the more it is processed, the more machines it goes through, the lower its vibrational resonance is going to become. To understand why this happens, let's talk about Bruce Taino again. Now, Taino's machine that measures vibrational frequencies set the vibrational frequency of human death at 20 megahertz per second. That is the vibrational frequency where the human body can no longer sustain the energetic connections needed to promote life. What this machine also showed was that various illnesses do lower your vibrational frequency. Now, the standard vibrational frequency for a healthy adult will be somewhere between 75 and 90 megahertz per second. So, as that number drops, you become less and less healthy. When that number reaches 20, the body is no longer sustaining life. You have become an inanimate object. When you remove a source of nutrition from its living state, it drops to that 20 megahertz, and it goes down from there the more often it's messed with, tampered with. So the basics for getting high vibrational foods is you find a food that is as close to its natural state as possible. You find food that, if possible, you have grown yourself, because that way you know exactly what's gone into making it. A tomato from your garden is going to taste very differently from a tomato that you find in the grocery store, because the grocery store tomato was picked while it was still green, was shipped thousands of miles, was sprayed with chemical agents to control how quickly it ripened, all before it hit your store. So even if you took the seeds from a grocery store tomato to grow your own tomato plant, which is very easy to do, that tomato that you grow yourself, that you ripened in the sun, and that you picked off the vine that was still warm when you cut into it, is going to taste very different from the store-bought tomato. If you enjoy full flavor, I highly recommend you try comparing the two, because after homegrown tomatoes, store-bought really tastes bland. So that's the basics of it. You want to get whole foods from as close to the source of that food as possible. One common misconception that I see in spiritual communities is the belief that this means you have to become vegetarian or vegan to be eating high vibrational foods. That is not the case. However, if you choose to continue to be a person who consumes animal products, and there is no judgment in this statement, you need to be sourcing your products from as close to the original source as possible. Sushi and sashimi is going to have a much higher vibrational resonance than poached salmon, because the sashimi is directly from the source, whereas the poached version has gone through the cooking process, which lowers vibrational frequency. So, you do not have to be vegetarian, you do not have to be vegan, you do not have to significantly change your intake as long as you are aware of and properly sourcing where your food comes from. Instead of going to the supermarket, go to your local butcher shop or your farmer's market. Find locally sourced foods so that you're getting them as close to the point of origin and as close to the point of harvest as possible. In general, foods that are going to have higher vibrational frequencies will be fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, whole grain, carbohydrate sources, bread, pasta, whatever, brown rice, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fresh herbs, fresh spices, raw honey for a sweetener instead of milled cane sugar. Now, the exception to that sweetener one is if you can get sugar cane fresh, and if you know how to notch it and suck the sugar out of it, that is absolutely delicious. And from that source, it's high vibrational. When you think about what processing sugar cane goes through, though, the cane is boiled down, you remove the molasses, you remove the rum, and then you mill the result down into the white sugar that we buy in the grocery store. That's a lot of processing, removing it from its natural source. And that's why it's not as healthy for you as naturally sourced sweeteners are. Okay, so that's the quick and dirty on high vibrational diets. You want to drink lots of water. Water is a natural source. If you wish to raise the vibration of your water, you can always put crystals in it. This is an amethyst crystal that I can sterilize and then drop in water and let it sit for 20 minutes, and the vibrations of the crystal are transfused into the water. Just like if you put fruit into water and let it sit for 20 minutes, the vibration and flavors of the fruit are transferred into the water. For those of you who don't like drinking straight water, popping some raspberries in there changes the taste entirely. You need to be sourcing your food locally. Go to your local farmer's market, go to your local butcher, go to, the shops that are already near you to source your food instead of going to the Mega Mart where they bring in everything from other states, other countries, anywhere around the world where it happens to be fresh. If you are a person who enjoys hot drinks, again, green tea is great, black tea is good too. However, in any of your brewed teas, you want to avoid adding sweeteners. That's for your own health as much as for the vibrational resonance. You want to stick to fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh herbs. Get your foods as close to the source as possible. Okay, so there's your diet tip for today. I am Marna. This is the Twin Flame Detox. Thank you for joining me.